All right, so a little late on this. Well, obviously very late. It's been a few days since the Knicks have fired Tom Thibodeau, who gave us 5 good years, led us to our first conference finals in 25 years. He's been the most successful coach since Jeff Van Gundy, so in some circles it came off as a surprise. I'm not saying that I was surprised. They did hire Johnny Bryant as an associate head coach with the idea that in my opinion, you're getting a young associate head coach. You're giving him that title. He was supposed to be the guy waiting in the wings. He ended up going to Cleveland for 1 year to go back with Donovan Mitchell. And now he just became second on the Phoenix Suns head coaching candidates list. So the basic premise of that was that Thibodeau, I feel, the signs were there that he was not going to stay. He was even going to be potentially fired last year if they didn't make a really good run in the playoffs. They ended up losing to the Indiana Pacers in the second round, and I think he got the ability to, he got a little bit more rope because of the fact that they competed so well. The narrative was great. The vibes were great. They were injured, and they still took this Pacers team to 7, who was very competitive with the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. This year was a little bit different. He was not afforded that same rope. There was a lot of deficiencies. The Celtics missed a historic amount of three-point shots, an ungodly amount of three-point shots. And these were wide open, uncontested shots that in a normal year, had they been making them, the Knicks would have gotten swept. Potentially, they had two 20-point comebacks. And Thibodeau, as always, wears out his welcome. This is the same thing in all his stops in Chicago, Minnesota, and now New York. This is about the time that he burns every bridge because he does everything his way. He is not a politically shrewd person. He's not an emotionally intelligent person when it comes to higher-ups. I'm sure that their egos were a little bit frazzled with the fact that Tibbs called all the shots. He's an old-school coach. He's just not going to fall into analytics, and he's going to take a mid-range shot. He's going to stick to his traditional big guarding the paint. He is not going to do a 5-out offense, despite the fact that they gave him Karl Anthony Towns with the idea that it should have been a very good offense. In the beginning of the year, it was a very good offensive team, but he was just too rigid. He had to be down 0-2 against the Pacers to make a lineup change. In the first game against the Pacers, despite the fact that the Pacers have done this now, and this is after game 1 of the finals, they have done this 4 rounds in a row, being down by a big margin and making an ungodly comeback to win the game. They did it against the Bucks. They did it against the Cavs. They did it against the Knicks, and now they did it against the Thunder. So, it kind of put a little egg on the Knicks' face, but I think it was time. I think it was the right call. Anywho, the volume and the energy on social media was so much so that this firing took all the oxygen out of the finals. It had one of the lowest ratings since 1988, give or take. I believe it was 1988. So no one's been really paying attention to this finals, which is unfortunate because the first game was a really good game, back and forth. Again, the big comeback by the Pacers. Anywho, we're talking about the hiring, the potential candidates, and there is quite a bevy. And I'm actually surprised that the Knicks are looking to make a trade for a coach. It doesn't happen often. I think the last one was Doc Rivers, from the Clippers to the Sixers, or I don't remember where it was. But there is going to be some kind of draft compensation if they go after a coach that has a job already. But they've been going after people that are established. I don't think this is a job for a first-time head coach or a college head coach, just because of the fact that you fired the winningest coach in over 30 years. So you're going to want dividends right away. You're going to need somebody that is able to deal with the media, deal with the expectations that if you do not make the conference finals and win I don't want to say, do you have to? At the very minimum, you're going to have to make the conference finals and be very competitive for next year to be considered a success. And I don't know anywhere else that is making that kind of demand except maybe OKC and now maybe even Indiana. So it's conference finals or bust for whoever comes in. So it's a lot of pressure. But you're going to get a lot of money on this next job. I think, what is the highest paid coach now? $10, $15 million? This job might, go past $20, $25 million, especially if it's a bigger tier name that we're going to go over. Now, I did it in the order of likelihood in terms of this photo array. We got Jeff Van Gundy here, who's next to Tibbs. And again, these are the connections that are going to make it. Jeff Van Gundy is an assistant coach on the LA Clippers. I don't see this happening. This is why I think this is the farthest shot, because of the fact of his loyalty with Tibbs. He worked with Tibbs for a long time. He was his assistant coach in the early 90s Knicks. He has spoken highly of Tibbs. He's also had issues with Knicks ownership before. He's not been given a chance to come back despite his success. So I don't think this is a possibility. This would be a major, major upset. He would be very good with the media because he was the media for 15 years. So I think he would obviously slide right back in perfectly as the Knicks head coach. But again, his loyalty to Tibbs, the stress of this position, does he really want to do that? And does he want to live the comfort of being the top assistant for Ty Lue on a very good Clippers team? I don't know, but I think if there's very little NBA jobs, and especially NBA jobs that are ready for a championship push as much as the Knicks. So there's a potential. But again, he's another one that Thibodeau's age, maybe a little bit younger. Can he run a modern NBA offense after being gone for so long, despite the fact that he was an assistant on Boston last year and on LA this year? Can he take the next seat over and be good? The next one is an obvious choice. It's Jay Wright, who was the head coach at Villanova. He coached Brunson in college. He coached Josh Hart. He coached Mikal Bridges. He coached Dante DiVincenzo and a bunch of other NBA players. I know that he is very happy in retirement at this point. He does not want to coach. And I think even if he did want to coach, I don't think coming back to the toughest job, which is like the Dallas Cowboys job of the NBA, that is the Knicks. I think obviously only the Lakers, beside that, you would consider a tougher, if not as tough type of job. Does Jay Wright want to make that jump back into retirement? He's not seen his kids too much. He's not seen his families too much, and he seems to be enjoying it very well. So I think this is the second least likely head coach of the Knicks. But again, anything can happen, so we'll see what happens with his relationship. And again, the biggest thing here is that Jalen Brunson is going to have to co-sign this. He gave a glowing praise at the end of the press conference regarding Thibodeau. He walked off on the question. He said, you're crazy. So he has a little bit of egg on his face, or at least the Knicks do, regarding that, because they made it seem as if, he made it seem as if there was not a question that he was going to return. So the fact that he did not, I think they're going to have to, or unless Jalen Brunson is the greatest actor of all time and he just completely faked that, because there is rumors that a lot of the top players, and they only interviewed the top players, the starting five, and they were all pretty much saying Tibbs had to go. And I don't know if Brunson was a part of that, if Brunson was outvoted. So we don't know, is there, acrimony in the locker room regarding this decision to get rid of Tibbs? Mikal Bridges was not a Tibbs fan. Deuce was not a Tibbs fan. There's a lot of players that were very, that questioned a lot of the choices that Tibbs made. But Brunson was a very vocal supporter. So I think the next coach has to have Brunson's backing, in my opinion, for political purposes. The next coach would be Jalen's dad. This is probably, I should probably have reordered this. I think this is probably the least likely of any of these choices up here. He has no head coaching experience. A lot of the players soured at the preferential treatment and everything else. It's just, the star player's dad, so it does rub people the wrong way, I guess. It's just like anything else, nepotism, I guess. But Rick has put his dues in. He's also been with Tibbs at every stop, if I'm not mistaken, Chicago and Minnesota. So is he leaving? Is the next head coach have to keep him? And he was also named the associate head coach. I don't think he will be the associate head coach with the next coach. The head coach is going to get their own lead assistant, because you sure as hell not going to make it so that in order to get the job, you have to keep him as your associate head coach. Maybe you have to keep him on the bench somewhere, but I don't think that they're going to keep him as the associate head coach. And again, I don't think in this position, firing Tibbs and putting in Rick Brunson makes sense. But whatever. Ime Udoka is one of the coaches that has a job right now with the Houston Rockets, and a very good job. He has turned that ship around. There's a number of reasons why I don't think this can happen. One is Ime and Houston already put out a statement saying that they're not going to entertain it. Obviously, crazier things have happened. I offer you $30 million a deal. All of a sudden, now you want to consider it. That's one. But I think a bigger reason as to why it's not going to happen is because of the sexual harassment with the Boston Celtics assistant staffer a few years ago that got him fired from the Celtics as the Celtics head coach. They had that big blow up with Isaiah Thomas and Dolan and the lawsuit of Nuka Brown Sanders. And I mean, do you really want that energy back in the Garden with someone that has been accused of harassment at the very least and some other things? Because it was very secretive when it came out. He has gotten a fresh start in Houston. His team was the 2nd seed. They were very green around the gills. Everybody knew that they were going to lose in the first round, even though they were the 2 seed. They're about to potentially get Kevin Durant or Giannis. They have a lot of draft picks. They are on the up. I think next year, being a number 1 seed is a possibility. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I just think that there's too many hurdles here, and he has not been buzzed about per se. But he has the acumen. He has the tenacity. He is really tough. I mean, is Jalen and the rest of them going to take him yelling? Like, he's very vicious with his criticism, and I think it works better with younger players. He's more of a college-type personality. But he's a very, very shrewd, very, very smart. Comes from Greg Popovich's coaching tree. So there is a very strong possibility that he gets it, but and the idea that you're gonna have to give draft compensation. What are the Rockets gonna ask for? A first-round pick? Like, do you really want to give that up for him? So I don't know. The next coach is Johnny Bryant. He was the associate head coach of the Knicks, I believe, for 3 or 4 seasons. And you notice as soon as Johnny Bryant left that the Knicks were worse. They seemed like to have missed coverages. They had lapses, and I think Johnny Bryant was cleaning up a lot of messes that people were not realizing. And covering up a lot of stuff that Tibbs was eventually let go. And it kind of proved when he didn't have Johnny Bryant how many lapses they had. So, they were 15th, I think. They were in the middle of the pack defensive efficiency. When he left, Cleveland got better. Everywhere Johnny Bryant goes, the team gets better. They obviously thought very highly of him to give him the associate head coach job of the Knicks. And, like I said in the beginning of the video, they gave him the opportunity to eventually succeed Tibbs had he stayed. So he made an error by going to Cleveland, because had he stayed, I think he would have been the by far the favorite. I think they would have elevated him within a day. So he made a miscalculation, or him and his agent. He went to Phoenix, and there was rumors that the Knicks fired Tibbs because the Suns were on the verge of hiring Johnny Bryant, which was not the case. They ended up hiring another Cleveland assistant, something odd. Is it Mel Ott? I don't know. Something odd. So he got the job. So now Johnny Bryant is up for grabs. But again, I don't think they're in a rush to get him. And I think that the circumstances have changed since he's not here. Because again, you're going to fire Tibbs with all the experience, the best coach that the Knicks have had in 25 years, since Jeff Van Gundy. You're not going to put in a first-time coach. How is he going to deal with the media? How is he going to deal with the scrutiny, the pressure, the second guessing? Can he deal with it? And I think you don't put him there because he doesn't have any experience dealing with that, despite the fact that he worked in New York. He's never led a media availability. He's never answered those type of questions after a devastating loss. So I just don't think it's going to happen because he's too young. But we'll see. I have him in the top 4, so it's a very strong, possibility. But again, I feel like the timing is just not right now. Maybe if the next coach doesn't work out, maybe he's the coach after. But he will get his shot in the NBA because, like I said, everywhere he goes, everywhere Johnny Bryant goes, the team does get better. Taylor Jenkins, I think, would be a great choice. He was fired, and the Grizzlies were doing very well at the time of firing, and they ended up slipping down to, I believe, about the 9th or 10th seed, and had to fight into the play-in just to get swept in the first round by the OKC Thunder. He runs a modern 5-out offense. He runs a very gritty defensive team. I think he's made for New York. The only thing is that he's going from the media market of Memphis, which might be the smallest media market in the country, to the biggest. Can he handle that? Is his personality more of a country, and I just want to focus on coaching type of situation. The backbiting, the politics with Worldwide West, and it ate Tibbs up. So, and Tibbs has that experience. So imagine a Taylor Jenkins that's never dealt with a monster that is the bureaucracy of MSG. Can he deal? It's like Game of Thrones in there. I mean, can you deal with that? And I'm not sure about that aspect, the political aspect. He's going to have to bend the knee, as it were, and agree to certain conditions. I don't know even if he can pick his assistant coaches. I think he would go in there and he would have to listen to a few people's suggestions as to what they want in terms of minutes. And do you want to be under there where you don't have the freedom and you don't have the cachet to kind of run your own type of organization? I think he goes there, and I'm not saying he's a puppet, but I feel like he's just not going to have the control that another big name would have. So do you really want to be in that position? Are you that desperate for a job, or are you going to wait for a better job that is more of your personality, a smaller market that allows you to kind of lay in the cut and work? But I digress. Like I said, I think from X's and O's point of view, Taylor Jenkins would be great. The next one is Mike Malone. I think everybody ran and said Mike Malone. He kind of covers every base. He has won a championship. Tibbs never won a championship. He is a New Yorker from Queens. He is a gruff. He can handle the media. He has a really, really bad temper like Tibbs, and he would fight. The reason that he was let go by the Nuggets a week before the playoffs started was because of the constant infighting between him and Calvin Booth in Denver. You're not doing that in New York. You're just not going to be yelling at Leon Rose. You're not going to be yelling at Jim Dolan. It's just not going to happen. Have you learned? Can you adjust? Can you be a softer Mike Malone? And in being a softer Mike Malone, is that going to make you a worse coach? So I don't know. I mean, are you using him? And from the Knicks perspective, do you want to sign this guy with a chance of luring the Joker? Did him and the Joker have a really good relationship? I know the Joker would love to be in a bigger market. The Nuggets have a garbage team around him. So does he still want to be there? Is that the play? I feel personally that he is very similar to Thibodeau in temperament and everything he does. I think his X's and O's are probably worse. He's more of a motivational type of guy. He's going to play his vets a lot of minutes. He's going to play his starters a lot of minutes. He trusts young guys even less than Tibbs does. Sound familiar? Do we want Tibbs 2.0? And that's the biggest concern with Mike Malone. And I honestly think that he needs about another year off. He's actually great in the media. He did a really good job as a not a sideline reporter, like an analyst on ABC, on broadcast, on ESPN. I thought he was great. I think another year just decompressing would be great for him. But I would not be surprised if they made this hire with the idea saying he won a championship in Denver, he can bring a championship to New York. But he doesn't really, he doesn't have the Joker. How do you function without the Joker now? And Tibbs outcoached him on multiple occasions. The Tibbs and the Knicks have beaten his championship team, or contending Nuggets team, multiple times by 30 points. So you're going to get a downgrade in terms of the X's and O's, in that position. Is that what you really want? So I don't know. It feels too similar to Tibbs, and it seems like a watered down version of Tibbs, despite the fact that Mike has one championship and Tibbs doesn't. But again, you have to get the luck of the players that you get, and he's gotten potentially a top 10 player in the Joker in the NBA history. If you want to argue that with the amount of MVPs he has, there's not many players with 3 MVPs. So maybe he kind of lucked into that. So how would he be without an all-generational talent? So there's that consideration. The last one is the favorite, in my opinion. He's gotten the most buzz, and Jason Kidd. You see the picture there that he coached Jalen as a young player. He helped him get his bag. He helped him become the player that he is today. He is a point guard. He speaks. He's another one that's very similar in terms of trusting his vets, but he will play a young player. Jason Kidd will play younger players at times if needed. It all depends. And again, he's a player's player. He's a player's coach. He will understand the free agent situation. He won't mind losing a player if it means maximizing it. He always leaves in flames. I think Tim Bontemps and the Hoop Collective talked about the fact that everywhere that he's left in shambles, whether it's Milwaukee as a coach, whether it's Brooklyn as a coach, whether it's Dallas as a player. So he tends to burn bridges. But Jason Kidd was the number 2 behind Thibodeau when Tibbs and Kidd both interviewed for the Knicks job. What was in 2000? It was around the pandemic. And Jason Kidd blew away the Knicks front office with his acumen, and he tends to do that. He's probably out of all these coaches, he's probably the best X and O's guy. He took the Dallas Mavericks to the championship. He won a championship as the assistant coach on the Lakers in 2000. So he has all the bona fides. Again, he has the pre-existing relationship with Jalen Brunson. He has New York and Dallas always have a connection, whether it's trades or whatever the case may be. Does Jason Kidd want to stay in Dallas knowing that they're going to get the number 1 pick? They're going to have to take Cooper Flagg. And it may take 2 years for Cooper Flagg to develop. You're not going to win a championship if one of your main guys is a rookie. I mean, Magic Johnson did it with the Lakers in 1980, but times have changed. And Magic Johnson was a once in a, 25, 50 year possibility as a number 1 pick. So do you want to do that with Cooper Flagg? It's just a mixed bag in Dallas with win now players such as Anthony Davis, Kyrie, and then you have younger players like Lively and Cooper Flagg. I feel Jason Kidd is still kind of not trusting the Mavericks organization after trading Luka and not telling him. And his face on the podium, like the shell shock that he showed, he was pissed. You can see it on his face. He made the most of it, but did they lose trust there? So that's the number 1 contender for me is Jason Kidd. I feel he checks off all the boxes. But again, Leon Rose, we don't know what he's going to do. Every time you think you have him, pegged or you figured out what he's going to do, he goes to left field. Most people did not have him firing Tibbs. He did it. Most people did not have him trading for Karl Anthony Towns the day before training camp. He did it. Most people did not have him giving 5 first-round picks from Mikal Bridges. He did it. Most people did not have him giving Jalen Brunson a 4-year, $100-something million contract when he was pretty much just a 6th man at that point. So every time you think you know what Leon's going to do, he does not do it. So saying all that, Jason Kidd is the favorite. I just think I don't know. I don't like betting, but I think that's the best option here. But who the hell knows? Maybe it's Ime. Maybe it's Jeff Van Gundy. Who the hell knows what Leon Rose is going to do? Anywho, I just want to do a quick video about the coaching candidates for the Knicks. It's going to be a lot of fun in terms of the next few weeks to figure out who they have. And again, I want to reiterate that the hysteria about him getting fired is some of the craziest stuff and broadcasting that I've ever seen. From ESPN to TNT, everybody's hats were on fire, and these people do not watch the Knicks on a regular basis. They don't know what they're talking about. If you watched it, you can tell that Tibbs was making consistent strategic errors when it comes to utilizing his bench, certain defensive assignments. At the end of game 1, having a big out there when it was a 9-point lead. You needed to have 5 wing players out there switching everything because all they were going to do was shoot threes, and everybody knew it. Why did you have Mitch or Cat out there getting them on pick and roll so they could get open threes? I digress. People that know hoops, people that watch the Knicks every day knew this was coming. And again, just going on the history of Tom Thibodeau, he burns out organizations really fast, and he's done it everywhere he's gone. Most people don't think that he is going to come back as a head coach. I think the rest of his career, he will be an associate head coach, making the defensive adjustments and stuff like that. But we'll see. Anyway, NBA Finals Game 2 will be on Saturday, I believe, or Sunday. So we'll watch that game, and then we'll come back. We'll do it on one of these videos once the head coach has been determined. We'll do a deep dive, and then we'll take it from there. Anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.